Hi, welcome to Real Talk with the Get It Done Gals. I'm Nicole Lombardo.
And I'm Lindsay Miranda.
Thanks for being here today. We are going to jump into a topic that we discuss probably every single day of our lives as business coaches and working with online marketers and online business owners. Social media comes up every single day. Now, when we talk about social media, we are talking about marketing for your business. Not just connecting with friends and kind of scrolling through and not really having a purpose in mind. So social media for business, what does that look like? You need three things for social media. You need to have great content, you need to have a strategy in mind, and also to understand why you even need this, okay? So I always associate everything with, let's look at what Business 101 looks like. What are tried and true business principles that have been going on in the marketplace for hundreds of years? So I always look at what was it like before the online world, and what did social media, how does that translate into that? I look at the social media and I think, okay, how did people get their business across? It was most likely in a newspaper ad or a brochure. So when you think about putting together a newspaper ad or a brochure, people put tons of time into it. They knew the content, they knew the image, it had to be a call to action. That person had to look at that ad and walk away going, I need that. I need that person, this is my solution. The image drew them in. So that's how you want to relate your social media. It's an ad. It's putting your business out there, your brand out there. So you always want to have that strategy in mind of, do I have images that look good? Are they appealing to my ideal client? Am I providing a solution? Do they know what I do by looking at my social media feed? And then coming up with content. Now here's a term I think that gets thrown out there quite often these days is content. You know, providing value, and then asking. But I think sometimes we overwhelm people by saying you need a bunch of content, and they go, great, I need to do this, now I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Yep.
So what does content look like? That can be just directing someone from your social media over to your website, over to a blog post. It could be a Facebook Live where you talk about some interesting information or tips or tools. It's just giving that person some really high value information and then directing them to the next step, that call to action. So think about what your ideal client needs. For our ideal client, they're usually looking for tips and tools, you know, something like MailChimp, what email service provider do I use, or how to be productive, or how to get clients in the door. So that's what we post on social media quite often and talk about on Facebook Live and YouTube, and we write blog posts to really answer the questions with our ideal client in mind. So I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay because our third point is really why social media.
So we get this question a lot, why should I even be on social media, right? What is the purpose of it? Why am I doing all of this work? And when a lot of times it can feel like you're not getting a lot in return from social media. And why social media is because social media is, just like we talked about in the website video in one of our Real Talks, is like your home. And so when you're out there and in the community, the truth of the matter is, there are a lot of people that just go to your social media site before they even go to your website now. A lot of people check out your Facebook page or depending on your ideal client, maybe your Instagram page or one of those social sites. So when you're sending people there, you want to make sure, just like your home, that everything's cleaned up, everything is clear and organized, and they really understand you, your brand, what you do, and how you could serve them. So that's why you want to be on social media. A lot of times people are looking at social media for instantaneous action. They look at it and say, okay, I'm going to post that I need 3 clients and I'm going to get 3 clients. And when they don't get those 3 clients right away, a lot of times people get frustrated and they give up. But the reality is social media is all about consistently showing up and consistently taking action. Not about just showing up when you need something from people, right? It's about creating a wonderful home for people and supporting people, and so that they feel good, and so that they're always understanding your brand, they see you, they're really just feeling like they're part of your community. So that's why you want to be on social media. Social media is all about developing a community of people and really giving them what they need. So going back to the ideal client, really speaking to your ideal client on there and giving them what they need through content, whether that be a tip or whether that be a blog post or a Facebook Live, whatever is your best resource that you feel most comfortable with. But the key is why social media is so that when people go onto your social media sites, they can better know you. Because the reality is right now, social media is a big part of our lives and how people make business buying decisions. You look at sites like Yelp and a lot of the Facebook reviews and stuff like that. People are looking at those different sites and they're looking at your Facebook page and they're following you, even though sometimes it may not feel like there's anyone out there. So what's key is really keeping that cleaned up and really keeping that engaged and developing a community on there and showing up consistently so that people really can hear from you, better understand you, and you're always in the back of your mind. What do you say? How many times does it take to post the same thing before people actually buy?
Yeah, so I had a product-based business, and that was I started in 2010. And my publicist at the time told me that even back in 2010, that the old rule was that they had to see your product 7 times before they bought. And at that time, she said that has increased to 23 times. So now fast forward 6 years later, and even more social media and access to the masses, I'm not sure how much they have to see our face pop up or our product pop up, but if it was 23 times in 2010, it's safe to say about that many times. And that's the great thing, is that with social media mostly being free, is that you can access so many people and be visible to so many people. It's not that one-off time where you're on the radio and it's super expensive, or that newspaper and it's super expensive, or even having a publicist and showing up in a magazine once or twice. Yeah. Now you can be in front of people's faces all day long on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and wherever your ideal client is, and not getting overwhelmed in that, but really having the strategy behind it so that you, like Lindsay said, everything's clear and clean. You are speaking to the ideal client, you have that great valuable content, and you're just directing from social media to either your website or how to work with you or to valuable content. Yeah,
definitely. And that just sparked something that came up in a client meeting this past week, where one of our clients said she was following us for 1 year in our private Facebook group. And she not only bought one of our online products, then transitioned into our group coaching and then our one-on-one coaching, and is thriving and doing absolutely amazing, bringing in so many consistent paying clients. And she said that she watched us, and one of the things she saw was that we walked the talk. Yeah. So we didn't just say to do things and then not do them. We'd share tips and she would see us doing them. And so it's interesting because that person actually came to us through our private Facebook group, which we had thought about, man, we can't get some engagement in here. Should we just get rid of this group? What should we do? And instead we really looked at the actions we were taking, and we decided, you know what? We're not providing enough of a community here. We're not showing up as much as we should. So we started showing up more and providing more of a community. And I'm so glad we did, because we have been able to support so many women in our group and really just create this fabulous, amazing group from it. And you see someone like that who had been in that group that entire time, right? So if we would have just said, oh, you know what, we're done with this group, we would have been missing out on opportunity.
It's such a good point, because I feel like a lot of business owners get lost in the fact that they're not getting clients.
Yeah.
And so they say, well, that doesn't work and I'm not going to do this. Yet they have things going on in their business with no strategy in mind. And that was where we were at with that Facebook group. We just didn't have a strategy. We were trying to create a community, but we weren't in there consistently. We were not providing valuable content at the time consistently.
Right.
But as soon as Lindsay took over this project, and as soon as she started consistently posting and showing up, the community exploded. And there's comments and support and connections. So the more you look at your social media with a strategy in mind for what that end goal is, if you're trying to provide community, you've got to be in that community and talking to one another,
consistently, not just giving up when you're feeling like it's not working.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what's key is, and we see it a lot, is you can tell if somebody, if somebody is not feeling confident in their business. A lot of times online you'll see them put out a program, they'll sell it for a few days, and then they'll be on to the next thing and on to the next thing, because it's like, well, that didn't work, so let me try it again. And instead it's consistently showing up, and you never know who's waiting in the background. Like, just picture yourself on a stage ready to perform, and there's a whole audience that you can't even see. It's just black, but they're there and they're watching, and they're ready to be a part of your community. So key is really, showing up consistently, direct people to your social media, provide good, valuable content, and speak to that ideal client on there. And really just show up consistently, not just when you have something to say.
So join us over in that free Facebook group if you want to be a part of that community and see how Lindsay's running that group. It is Get It Done Gals on Facebook, and we will add you to the group.
Can't wait to see you over there.